The most widely known Pokemon is obviously Pikachu, the face of the Pokemon Company. But if you ask me who the second most widely known Pokemon is, I'd say it's not a single Pokemon. Instead, it's all the Eevelutions. Though they aren't starter Pokemon, they've appeared in every game since the beginning, and have wormed their ways into the hearts of Pokemon fans with their cute, doll-like appearance and lovable personalities. Over the years, more and more Eevelutions have been released, with the last one in 2013, over a decade ago, with Sylveon. Since then, Nintendo has not released another one, claiming that they feared that if someone made a prospective Eevelution design too close to what they ended up releasing, they might get sued. Well, today I'm going to guarantee that no Eevelution ever gets added because I'm drawing every type of Eevelution that does not currently exist. That's right, all 9 types. Bug type, dragon type, fighting, flying, ghost, ground, rock, steel, and poison. So if you want to see my takes on what an evolution of each type would look like, watch on, because Nintendo is never going to release a new evolution, so I might as well do it. Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, please think about subscribing. I regularly post animal fiction content, so you'll never get bored. And to my current subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me. I wouldn't have gone here without y'all. I decided to start off this challenge with bug type. This is actually my second attempt at drawing a bug type evolution. I deleted the first one. For the first one, I decided to draw a caterpillar based evolution with a segmented body and a stinger on the tail. However, it ended up looking weird and lumpy, and the limbs looked like they were mashed on like a Mr. Potato Head toy. So I scrapped that concept and instead decided to do an evolution based off of a bumblebee. Some ideas from this old Eevee still slip through though, like the holes in the ears. I gave this Eevee a fluffy mane because bees are shockingly fluffy. I also gave it a stinger on its tail to counteract the cuteness, which is yet another thing stolen from the old design. It also has an antenna, though the antenna look much more like moths than a bee's. This Eevee uses 3 colors instead of the normal primary and an accent that most evolutions do. However, Sylveon pretty much did the same, and white barely counts, even if it's a pale blue in reality. I dubbed this evolution Bumbleon. Though bees scare me, I think that this final result looks cute. Next up is Dragon type, and if you spent more than a second on this channel, you know that dragons are my specialty. Let's start off with a name on this one. Like literally everyone else online, I decided to name my dragon type evolution Drakeon. I had a major choice to make with Drakeon before I started drawing it, whether Drakeon would be inspired by a western dragon or an eastern dragon. In the end, I decided to go with a more western look. However, I decided not to include wings. That's because no other evolution has extra limbs, besides for whatever Sylveon has going on with its horrifying flesh tentacle ribbons. Instead, in order to make sure Drakeon has dragon traits, I decided to give it horns. Originally, I wanted to do 2 lines of horns on the head and 1 on the spine, but it looked weird, so I changed it to 2 horns on the head. I also decided to add a spike on the tail in the shape of a spade, as a lot of dragons in medieval literature feature them. For the color palette, I decided to go with straight red. Something I noticed when studying the existing evolutions is that there are no color repeats. While Vaporeon and Glaceon have very similar colors, Glaceon is certainly more cyan, and while Leafeon is yellow, the green accent is enough to keep it from repeating Jolteon's colors. So my Drakeon isn't repeating any colors, keeping with the current pattern, but in the future I will definitely be using a color that's already been used by a previous evolution. Overall, this was a pretty conventional guess at what a dragon evolution might look like, but I like it. Now it's time for the fighting type. I don't really understand why fighting type exists at all because all Pokemon fight, but I'm not Nintendo, but I do intend to draw this evolution. At first, I was thinking of doing a martial arts based Pokemon, specifically a Kempo Karate or Songham Taekwondo based evolution, because I have experience in both of them. That experience being getting a medal in a tournament for getting beaten up, but hey, I have a black belt in at least one of them. However, there are already a decent amount of martial arts based fighting types, and I couldn't figure out how to put a G on a dog without having it look strange. So instead, I decided to go for a more general athletic theme. First of all, this Eevee is built like a truck. Second, its ears are tied up behind its head the same way that people put up their hair to exercise. I decided to give this Eevee fluff on its legs because when I was a kid doing 10,000 different sports, I used sweat cuffs to keep the sweat from reaching my hands. Finally, I added some eye black because I'm from the South, and sports are synonymous with football down here. For the name, I decided to go with Olympion as a reference to the Olympics, the world's largest steroids convention, sporting competition. And here's the final drawing. Do you think this Pokemon could beat you up? It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's a flying type Eevelution. There are 4 types of flying Pokemon that I've noticed. Bird, Dragon, Bug, and Cloud. And Gyarados, but I guess he falls into Dragon? Anyways, I've already done a Bug and a Dragon, so I was left to choose between Bird and Cloud for my inspiration. I did a paper sketch trying to figure out a bird-themed Eevelution, and I added wings to it. But adding wings doesn't really fit in with the Eevelution's design traits, as it would be adding limbs. An alternative to adding wings would be adding some sort of Achilles sandal-like feathers on the legs, but I worried that it would end up looking weird. So I took the easy way out and made the Eevee cloud themed. I gave it a cloudy mane and tail. The coloring process was a bit difficult on this one. I knew that the clouds would have to be white, so I had to find a color palette that worked with the white for the eyes and the fur. I struggled to find a shade of blue distinct from Vaporeon and Glaceon until I realized that I could just use a darker blue. I did, and it worked. Even though it's a blue, I think it's distinct enough. Here's the final result, and also the name is Nimbion after Nimbus Clouds. Next up is the Ghost type Eevelution. This is my second attempt at a Ghost type. With the first attempt, the mane and the tail were much more circular and weighed down. However, it ended up feeling way more poison type than ghost type to me, and I deleted that version. So unfortunately, I can't show you how the other version looked, but trust me when I say it wasn't that good. I decided to make this one more ghostly, so the ears and the tail both have this flame-like quality to them that is inspired by Litwick, my favorite ghost type Pokemon. It also has flames coming off of its paws. For the color palette, I chose a dark gray plus a turquoise. While I like the colors, the dark gray just reminds me of Umbreon, which is a much stronger design than this one. Even the name for this one is weak, Scarion. Here's the final design, and this has to be my least favorite Eevelution thus far. Maybe I should have stuck to the old concept. Now we have a ground type Eevelution. The next one is also a synonym for ground, rock type. I had to search up the difference between the 2 types designs because to me, ground and rock are very similar concepts. According to Reddit, ground types are all about the earth, so sand, gravel, mud, or swampert, which is, I don't know. Same thing with Quagsire. At least Whiskatch is based on a catfish, and catfish are bottom feeders. The rest don't make any sense at all. I was really stumped with what to draw until I looked again at what constitutes a ground type. Turns out lava is included. So I decided to make an Eevelution with lava hair. This Eevelution is called Igneon after igneous rock, the type of rock created after volcanic eruptions. Most igneous rock is black in color, however this Igneon is brown because I forgot. Igneon has lava bangs covering one eye because that's cute. The face shape looks a bit off, but I'm willing to go with it. And at least this design looks at least somewhat inspired as opposed to Scarion, which is literally just a stereotypical ghost type. And here's the final result. Igneon looks quite shy for a Pokemon that is somewhat made of lava. You're about to get some serious deja vu because now I am drawing the rock type Eevelution. Rock types are based on minerals and jewels. Unlike the ground type, most Pokemon that are rock type actually appear like they belong in the category. So obviously this Eevelution is themed after crystals, and its name is Geodeon after, you guessed it, geodes. Even though this Pokemon is themed after crystals, I had a hard time thinking about how to incorporate them naturally into the design. Eventually, I realized that Sylveon literally has weird flesh ribbons, so I should stop overthinking it. I eventually decided to just slam the crystals onto it. Originally, I was thinking of giving it crystal horns, but as you will see, I already have a few other Eevee designs with horns, so I didn't want to add even more. In the end, though crystals are typically perceived as being more feminine, I decided to give Geodeon a mohawk. And here's a finished drawing. I really like the rendering on this one, especially with the crystals, which are pretty hard to draw and I struggle with sometimes, so I'm proud of this Eevelution design. Though we are not in an identical type anymore, we are still deep underground with the next type, Steel. Whose idea was it to place 3 very similar types so close together? Oh wait, it was my idea. Curses. Since this is a steel type, I decided to make a Pokemon out of steel, or rather, wearing steel. This evolution wears a coat of armor. You might notice that the armor doesn't look very organic. That's because it isn't. This evolution evolves by giving your Eevee armor. If you were to remove the armor, the Eevee would still have horn spikes and its dark coloration though. I decided that the name for this evolution is Panopleon. Its name is based off of the word panoply, which means a collection of things, but also has been historically used as a word for armor. Overall, this is an iffy design and also a iffy drawing for me. It's far from my favorite, but I like the concept of how it evolves at least. I hope you like this final result anyways. We have emerged from the depths of the mines for our final Pokemon type, the Poison type. I ended up taking some of the scrapped ideas I had for the Ghost type and shoving them into this drawing, mainly having a mane plus tail made out of sludge. I also took some inspiration from Poison type Pokemon like cheek pouches from Krogunk, which also makes it look almost like a doll. For the color palette, I went with a muted purple contrasted with a bright green neon, because in nature, neon colors are toxic. I also think that since we got a pastel evolution with Sylveon, I might as well make its opposite, a neon one. For the name, I decided to go with Blightion, because Blight links to Pestilence, links to Poison. Overall, I really like this evolution. The design fits in well with Poison types, and I feel like I drew it pretty well. And those are all the new evolutions. My favorite out of all of them has to be Blightion, the Poison type I just drew, my second favorite is Bumbleon, the Bug type, and my least favorite is Scarion, the Ghost type. But which type is your favorite? Comment down below. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I make animal fiction based videos pretty often, and your support would mean a lot to me. And to those who are already subscribed, thank you so much for your continued support. I wouldn't have gotten here without y'all. Peace, Rogan out.